At long last, the Gladiator sequel has hit theaters, and I couldn't be more excited. Ridley Scott returns to the director's chair, and with him a series of sick-ass action sequences, entertaining characters, and just an overall good watch, you know what I'm saying? Some good shit right here. Now, though this isn't the perfect watch, and many fans believe it doesn't do the original movie justice, I very much like this film, okay? And a lot of y'all be overhyping the fuck out of the first movie. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's get into this fucking Gladiator review. You know, I can't even remember when they first announced that a Gladiator 2 was in the making. Probably because it was so long ago, but also because, like with most legacy sequels these days, my reaction was like,
pretty cool, I guess.
But when that first trailer dropped, you already know I was hyped to see the movie. I mean, to be honest, all you had to do was tell me Denzel was in it for Cineplex to just have my money. And I don't say this with every movie I watch, but you gotta watch this shit in IMAX, okay? The sheer sound, scale, and spectacle that it is on that big screen. I mean, I might go see this shit again, but anyway, there are some misses in this film, but like not to the point where it's unenjoyable or distracting. And as someone who likes the film, you may be wondering, what are the misses there, film boss? Well, right off the bat, I'm talking historical inaccuracies, miscasted historical figures, weird editing choices, a letdown to its former installment, forced character-driven plot, Paul Mescal not being Russell Crowe. But I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not here to entertain the haters. Yes, this film could have been better, but not in the ways that you think. So the main gladiator in this film is none other than the son of the 2000 gladiator, Lucius. And Maximus being the legend, the symbol, the icon that he is in both Gladiator and for movies of all time, you best believe this dude has some major sandals to fill. And did he deliver? Yeah, I think so. Did he deliver as well as Maximus though? Well, I'm not even gonna talk about that. I can't blame the man though. I mean, you really can't compare these legacy sequels to their formers. Daisy Ridley is not gonna do it better than Hayden Christensen. Paul Rudd not gonna do it better than Bill Murray. Tom Cruise is not doing it better than Tom Cruise. I mean, the only real legacy sequel I think went harder than the original was Creed. And I'm biased as fuck because I'm a nice guy. And I'm sorry, though this is iconic, this scene is... Yo, that's hard. I like how even though Lucius is supposed to be playing the same role as Maximus, he is not the same. Like, his whole thing is rage, and the writers really made a point of setting him apart from his father. Now, I would have liked to see this whole rage aspect unfold more drastically, because a show don't tell method would have been much more effective. For instance, instead of Denzel telling us rage, I would have liked to see him uncontrollably murder the fuck out of someone. Kinda like in a scene of Planet Hulk where he's just mercilessly beating the fuck out of Beta Ray Bill. Because though we're told Lucius has all this anger, besides yelling at his mom to some guy he's literally forced to decapitate, this guy comes off as pretty reserved. I mean, you got a group of other gladiators taunting him like a monkey, and he just laughs it off. And then when forced to kill the other fighter at the feast, he doesn't want to. Like, where's all that rage now, boy? And yes, I know that ties into his defiant character, but I really didn't get rage. Like, anytime he was angry in this movie, it was completely justified, and anger isn't rage. This is rage. And this whole "you killed my wife, so you must die" bullshit is kind of dumb considering they were literally in a battlefield. Like, Buddy acting like he wasn't the last defense against the largest army in the world, and his wife standing up there acting like she got plot armor. Like, you're not him. All I'm saying is Buddy took the shit way too personal. My wife was killed under the general's order. Face ass, she shot at him first. Like, this works in the first film because of the shock factor, the betrayal, and the absolute brutality of the deaths. Not on a fucking battlefield. Like, this shit was personal. Need I speak of Denzel's performance? Honestly, I'm just happy I get to see this guy in theaters again, and really wrote him such a good part, and he brought so much to the character in terms of blocking and personality. I've heard people criticize the fact that he uses his own accent, but like, this is ancient Rome, which housed people of many different cultures. Not everyone has to be British or speak that old-fashioned properness. I will say at some points it felt like he was taking over a bit too much, like this whole, in order to restore order, I need to have control, or are you talking about Rome or the movie, bruh? And yeah, maybe it is that whole I'm Denzel, the main character or the main villain shit. Or maybe really just wanted to write him a juicy role. Either way, apparently this is historically accurate. But anyways, like I said, I'm just glad he's in this movie, bruh, because he's literally a scene stealer. You know, the fact that I forgot Pedro Pascal was in this movie is probably a testament to his representation in it. I feel like he's robbed of some crucial character development in those juicy scenes I was talking about. Because apart from that awesome last stand scene in the arena, it's hard for me to remember a scene with Pascal that really stood out. Oh yeah, Cause there aren't many, and that's a real shame because when I first found out he was casted, I was so excited. Like I thought he was gonna be the big bad, but then you find out early on that he actually doesn't like the bloodshed and he's all noble and shit, which is good I guess, but not really interesting or new. Like there's a point where he says, I would die for Maximus, and I'm sitting there like, why? Why? Did you know him? Y'all were close? I don't know. The movie didn't tell me. This is the most foil character I ever seen, and then he just dies, which was a pretty cool scene, but you deserve better, Pedro. Twin Emperors were cool to watch, though this was a case of less equals better because we didn't need a backstory to define why they are the way they are. They're just pawns sitting in the throne as cruel Roman emperors like many of them were. Both Joseph Quinn and Fred Chinger's performances were so entertaining to watch. It was like that Joffrey screen presence of having someone so despicable you just love them. Now if you're someone who actually wanted a bit more from them and expected them to be the big bad, I'm sorry, but we didn't need another repeat of what Commodus was. Like the Black Order didn't get a backstory, but they were just as effective. And the twins served as a pretty good red herring, because I don't know about you, but I did not see Denzel's villain arc coming. This also does tie into the fact that the people do need a face of evil, someone to hate or blame for bad things happening, when really there is something deeper going on behind the scenes. The battle and action sequences in Gladiator 2 is the bread and butter of the film. It's what's mostly shown in the trailers and what people came for. Yeah, this ain't no historical drama. This is a fucking action movie. And the action sequences are really good, okay? Like a little too good, you know what I'm saying? But like Ridley's been doing this for decades. He knows what he's doing. I like how the opening scene in this film is like one of the most exciting scenes. We have the Romans pulling up on some real shit, towers on ships, catapults. Like, are you fucked? How'd you know what I wanted? I feel like we got something special with this opening scene like audiences haven't seen before. Kind of like the frozen lake scene in Napoleon. It's no wonder why they advertise that scene so much. And this is pretty hard to do because in this day and age, the bar is so high for battle scenes, especially when you don't have the use of fantasy. Just two ancient armies going at it. I also love the use of CGI animals in this film. While we got that awesome tiger fight in Gladiator, here we get killer baboons, rhinos, fucking sharks. Like, how did you know that's what I wanted? And the choreography throughout the film is also sick. I love this shit right here. Like, hold up. Look at the shit here it does with the sword. Woo-hoo-hoo! Let's go. And I love that this film gets the R rating it deserves because I'm not trying to see no sugar-coated gladiator movie. I want blood. I want heads falling off and being waved around. I'd say the only action scene I wasn't a fan of was Marcinus busting out that blade when Lucius is charging at him. I just think it's really out of character for this to happen. When Ramsay tries to kill Jon in Game of Thrones, it's crafty and unmatched. Much like Macrinus's character, he's a backstabber who ain't about that fair fight. It would have been way more intense and motivated if, picture this, he actually gets him twice and walks up to a fallen gladiator about to finish the job. But then, Lucius uses the arrow that he's been playing with the whole movie, one that killed his wife, to cheap skewer this bitch in the face. The shock value, the foreshadowing, the poeticism. And Lucius actually dying in this story would serve as a message that, as in the first film, overthrowing an empire comes at a great cost, one that no hero could survive, because Maximus's death does make Gladiator feel more complete. In this film, Lucius actually surviving all those perilous events that transpired just makes me sit back thinking about all that fucking plot armor. But hey, I guess we need someone to star in Gladiator 3, because we kind of ran out of bastards here. So Harry Gregson Williams did the music for Gladiator 2. You may know him most notably from Shrek or Narnia. And honestly, the only reason that music is a segment in this review is because I just want to talk about how it could have been better, man. Like, don't get me wrong, it's solid, but it's not Hans. And before I continue, some of y'all at this point are probably like, stop comparing this movie to the first one. No. Well, the score of Gladiator consists of mostly strings. Much like the first one, it also has some nice vocals, but this time it's more tribal. You have the female vocals for the theme of Lucius, Arishat, and the male vocals for Jugurtha before his death. The strong strings and brass themes for the emperors, and there are other themes, but like most of the good parts are from the first one. Coming from someone who's been listening to the Gladiator score for like a decade, I recognize these themes inside and out, okay? So honestly, the only parts where the music was super good were the parts where I was like, oh hey, that's from the first movie. And yes, I know it was Williams' task to remaster and adapt from the previous score, and he did a pretty good job with that. And even though Hans Zimmer couldn't return for this film because he didn't want to build off of his previous perfect score that earned him an Oscar nomination, it was still good to hear his themes again. And don't get me wrong, I love Williams' work. I mean, his score in Narnia, it's peak. But a score is more than what the composer brings to the table. It's a collaboration with the director, and some scores work so well because the vision of the director is in the hands of a composer who can deliver it. The score of Gladiator changed how ancient period films sounded. The exciting brass instruments in the action sequences and the mysterious woodwinds of dark ancient politics. While Williams' score is still good, it's very safe and leaves little room for creativity and exploration. If you're unfamiliar with the term legacy sequel,
Read a book.
a legacy sequel is a work that follows the continuity of the original works but takes place much further along the timeline. It seems these days that the only way Hollywood is making money is by building off of intellectual property. And while I support the creation of new ideas, I do understand why this is the case. It's just a safer option for both viewers and production companies, sometimes. I mean, a lot of people profit off of a good sequel, like fucking filmfluencers. But even still, the highest grossing film to this date is an original idea. And though there are a lot of factors to contribute to this, it does show something. Though audiences like legacy sequels, I don't think they should be used as a cash grab. Now, I'm not saying Ridley Scott did this because it is his original idea and he's been trying to get a sequel made for a long time. What I am saying is, contrary to what I said in my last review, some sequels shouldn't be made. And though you think an idea is good because it's original, well, be careful what you wish for. Because though more and more moviegoers are complaining about sequels and remakes, I think they just don't want to see a good thing ruined. I mean, you've seen what the Fast and Furious franchise has become after 10 movies, but I don't hear anyone complaining about 8 Mission Impossibles. Point being, I don't think we needed a Gladiator 2. It was a near perfect story.
Striking story. Now that people want to know how the story ends.
You hear that? The story was over. Because when you don't end a story when you're supposed to, you're left with a generation reminiscing about the good old days.